Africa is a diverse continent. Its climatic conditions range from the rainy tropical highlands to the arid and semi-arid regions. With a growing population, the continent has to find ways and means of feeding her inhabitants. Among the foods that are common on the tables of many Africans are vegetables, taken either as an accompaniment to the carbohydrate-based staples or on their own. They contribute greatly to the nutrition well-being of the African population. They are also a major source of income to farmers and traders alike, who every day market and promote these vital commodities to ensure spread across cities and rural areas. African Indigenous Vegetables, AIVs, particularly contribute significantly to food security to East African smallholder farmers. These leafy vegetables are increasingly finding their place at the center of dishes. They include amaranthus, African nightshade, crotalaria, spider plant, jute mallow, and African eggplant, among others, and account for over 30% of all vegetables traded in East Africa.
Mchicha una mbegu zake zina protein iko juu sana, pamoja na calcium na iron. Kiswahili wanasema madini chuma ambayo ni iron, madini chokaa ambayo ni calcium, na pamoja na hayo tunasema kwamba inasaidia sana, ina vitamin C kwa wingi kwenye mboga za majani. Na oxalic ni nzuri sana, maana inasaidia wakulima hasa wakina mama wajawazito.
Indigenous vegetables are also well adapted to the climatic conditions of many countries in Africa.
Some have narrow leaves to survive when there is drought. Some have leaves that expand when there is rain. Some reduce the number of hairs on their leaves, on the surface or to the bottom, so that evapotranspiration does not take place.
However, even with a growing demand, there is hardly enough vegetables in the market for consumption by the African populations, mainly due to lack of an established seed system and lack of knowledge among farmers on the vegetables, which they take as weed among some people.
Mimi sijui kwani chakula, mimi najua ni chakula cha sungura na ng'ombe, mifugo, ng'ombe, mbuzi, kwa binadamu sijui.
This has necessitated the need for pure seeds for each variety. Given that, scientists in East Africa have sought ways of developing systems that ensure the popularity of indigenous vegetables by studying the existing models of seed production in the region. Dr. Daniel Karanja is a principal investigator at Kabi and has been coordinating the project in Kenya and Tanzania.
We were able to zero down into 5 priority indigenous vegetables. In Kenya, the main priority crops was amaranthus, and in amaranthus we had the vegetable amaranth and we also have the grain amaranth. Then we had African nightshade as a priority crop. Then 2 other crops that came as a priority in Kenya was spider plant and crotalaria. Then come to Tanzania, again there was a priority setting exercise that was actually done. But the 3 topmost indigenous vegetables was African nightshade, amaranthus, and African eggplant.
To find out on the need of the seed development models, a study was commissioned by the Ugandan-based Association for Strengthening Agricultural Research in Eastern and Central Africa, Azareka. Dr. Lydia Kimenye is a program manager for Azareka's Knowledge Management and Upscaling program.
Initially, we had done an assessment and realized that crops like the African indigenous vegetables, which are not very much attractive to private sector, farmers have a problem of getting quality seed.
Farmers knew very little about vegetable seeds which they were growing.
It was after the study that a pilot program to compare different African indigenous vegetables seed production models was mooted. A project named Scaling Up Farmer-Led Seed Enterprises for Sustained Productivity and Livelihoods in Eastern and Central Africa was developed and implemented by the Center for Agricultural Biosciences International, Kabi.
We identified what we call the key actors in the seed value chain. So the first people we identified were the researchers, because we know for sure researchers have got a number of technologies in terms of agronomic practices and also in terms of different varieties. Then we had to look into what we call the community-based organization, because our focus was on farmer-led. So we had to look at who are actually working with these farmers at the grassroots level.
In bringing in all the key stakeholders together, it calls for the locals, the farmers themselves, have the local knowledge, and they know how things are working, the patterns and all that. As Areka is leveraging by giving in the funding to be able to pilot a few trials here and there. Kabi is bringing in capacity in terms of the agronomic practices and the business acumen.
The project was designed to study and improve 3 seed production models in both countries and evaluate the significance of each.
There were constraints in production itself, there were constraints in processing, constraints in marketing, and also constraints in information. We then had a workshop with the project stakeholders where we sat down together and looked at the problems, looked at the solutions existing from farmers and from research, and from there came up with the modules for training.
In Kenya, the project looked at 2 different models, research-mediated and contract model. The research-mediated model was implemented by the Ministry of Agriculture and Kenya Agricultural Research Institute, KARI, in collaboration with TATRO, a community-based organization in Western Kenya. This was conducted in Bondo, Butere Mumias, Kisumu West and Siaya districts.
The specific roles that KARI played was to provide the seed, because through stakeholder evaluation, we found that seed was the major problem in promoting African indigenous vegetables such as spider plant, which is here, and we also have amaranthus and black nightshade.
However, for the farmers to grow seed worth of being certified, the seeds used to raise a seed crop must be of known purity, class, and obtained from an authorized official agency as stipulated in the Seeds and Plant Varieties Act, Caption 326 of the laws of Kenya.
Having identified seed quality as a major problem, KARI now linked up with Lacrotech to bulk the foundation seed.
It is here in Bungoma district that the second seed production model was implemented. This was a contract model where farmers were contracted by the Kenya Seed Company.
From 2009, Kenya Seed Company got involved in the African Indigenous Vegetable research to try and assist farmers to do seed production of various African Indigenous vegetables. And one of the areas that we benefited was in training. We had been doing other efforts, but we had not been training the farmers. But when this project, one of the activities in this project was to train the farmers. And the company is very happy to report that after the training, we have had improved yields.
In this Chebukui village, we find Mr. Charles Mukenya, a young farmer who received training on AIV seed production under this project. It was his committed zeal that the company contracted him and other farmers who must adhere to the recommended agronomic practices to produce quality seed.
Mimi ni mkulima wa Kenya Seed, na kwa upande wa Kenya Seed mimi nilima sucha, yani black nightshade. Na black nightshade hiyo ilikuwa ni mmea kama mboga, na ilikuwa ni mboga nzuri, na tulikuwa nalima kwa minajili ya kutoa mbegu. Na hiyo mbegu ilifanya vizuri kwa sababu tuliweka mbolea, tukaweka dawa na tukafanya ikawa sio mbaya. Tukatoa hizo mbegu na nikatoa kilo 250. Na mimi kwa wakati nafurahi sana kwa sababu ya hiyo pesa ambayo nilipata. Kwa sababu kitu ya kwanza, watoto wako shuleni wanasoma vizuri, na nilikuwa naishi kwa nyumba ya nyasi. Wakati huu nimejenga nyumba ya mabati, kitu kama rumu 4. Nimenunua ng'ombe wa maziwa. Sasa watoto wanafurahia hata kunywa chai ya maziwa, walikuwa wanakunywa string. Na mimi nafurahi kwa sababu sasa imetufanya tumekuwa mahali pazuri. Niko na pikipiki yangu binafsi naendesha, na mimi nilikuwa naendesha baisikeli.
The contract farmers in Kenya earned on average $4,500 per year from indigenous vegetables seed through this model, as we found out with the farmers in the vast country. In their quest to ensure high-quality seeds are produced at farm level, KEFI's inspectors keenly follow the undertakings of these farmers. Routinely, these inspectors are seen inspecting every stage in growth of the seed crop. They check isolation distance from other crops of the same species. They also check pests and diseases, proper crop husbandry, and uproot off-types. An off-type means a plant which does not exhibit the recognized and prescribed growth habits and characteristics of the cultivar being grown. Today, the inspectors are on this spider plant plot owned by a group of farmers in Nyawita village in Bondo district, Western Kenya. As the inspectors go about their work, the happy farmers sing their hearts out in song. It is here at the World Vegetable Center, Regional Center for Africa, a few kilometers from the Tanzanian northern city of Arusha. The scientists have been working on different lines of different indigenous vegetables. This forms the basis of the seed models. In Tanzania, the success of the contract model in Arusha and Arumeru districts was significant too. This was implemented by Horticultural Research Institute Tengeru and AVDRC, while involving seed companies including Kibo Seed Company, Muliflower and East African Seed.
Kwa kweli kazi nilipenda kwa sababu baada ya kupata watu wa kampuni na kutuelewesha wakatufundisha jinsi ya kulima mchicha, tuliweza kuotesha mchicha kwa vizuri sana na tukaweza kufaulu kwa kuwezesha kwa eka moja kupata kilo 1,100. Pesa zile ambazo nilizozipata kwa kweli niliweza kujengea nazo nyumba ambayo nyumba ya kisasa, naweza kununulia nayo pikipiki na vile vile kupeleka watoto chuoni.
This is Dodoma region, the central part of Tanzania. It is a relatively dry region and green vegetables have been a pipe dream for the inhabitants. Thanks to the project, today the farmers enjoy a continuous flow of vegetables all year round. Here, a different seed production model only found in Tanzania was used. The quality declared seed model allows farmers to produce seeds under a semi-regulated system in which agricultural staff from district councils trained by Tanzania Official Seed Certification Institute TOSCI are authorized to act as inspectors. This system has been accepted throughout the country. It has structures that ensure the quality of seed produced is maintained and allows a wider group of stakeholders to participate in seed markets. The program fits well with the needs of the Tanzanian farmer. However, for the model to fit into the TOSCI requirements, the farmers were trained on principles of indigenous vegetable seed production and managed to produce quality seeds of African eggplant, grain amaranthus, and African nightshade. Ruth is an authorized district inspector. We meet her as she takes farmers in Kongwa village on seed quality control.
Kazi ninayofanya kubwa ni kuhakikisha wakulima wanazalisha mbegu zilizo bora, zenye kiwango. Huwa mkulima ambaye anauelewa wa kilimo. Shamba lake lazima liwe na ubora unaotakiwa, ardhi nzuri yenye rutuba, lakini ardhi ile iwe na historia kwamba haijalimwa lile zao la mbegu kwa misimu miwili iliyopita.
After the seeds are harvested, the district seed inspection officers collect the samples and bring them here in Morogoro. It is at this station where all the seeds in Tanzania are checked for quality. The scientists here keenly evaluate the samples to ensure only high quality and disease-free seeds are sold or distributed to farmers.
Viwango vya kwenye maabara sana sana tunaangalia ule usafi wa mbegu. Je, kuna uchafu kiasi gani katika ile mbegu? Na hapo tuna kiwango. Na kitu kingine ambacho tunaangalia ni uotaji. Je, inaota asilimia ngapi? Hapo tuna kiwango cha chini cha uotaji ambavyo vyote viko katika viwango vitabu vyetu katika viwango. Baada ya hapo tunatoa cheti cha mwisho ambacho sasa ni kama tunamruhusu yule mzalishaji aendelee kuuza mbegu.
The benefits of the project has surpassed issues on health and wealth, but has also helped in generating immeasurable knowledge exchanged between the farmers and scientists. Harnessing of indigenous knowledge has been a major component of this project. The project implementers worked closely with farmers, having a wealth of indigenous technical knowledge.
When we mix the seed with some rubbish of the kind, the natural, if it is coming from the spider pods, then you keep it with the spider pods. If it is beans, you keep it with the bean pods. With that soil, you cannot find any insect. There is no grain dust, no dusting, nothing for pest control, but you use that natural thing, the rubbish of the seed.
Biodiversity is a critical aspect of any project. The project has managed to achieve this given the nature of AIVs, which do not require a lot of spraying against pests and diseases, and is easy to use an integrated pest management model. The significance of this project has received great recognition.
For us, we are very, very pleased with the way this project has been implemented and the outputs that we have achieved so far. In fact, last year, Azareka had its first General Assembly, and this project was identified as one of the success projects out of 45 projects that we have been implementing so far.
The success of this project has been expanded further by doing more work to promote the consumption of indigenous vegetables.
People now are beginning to appreciate and understand the nutritive value of these vegetables. Now that we are seeing these vegetables also being sold in the supermarkets and in high value market outlets, I think we are moving in that direction.
The impacts of the project have been many, and the farmers know this too well.
Nilipenda sana zao hili la mnafu kwa sababu lilikuwa lepesi kwangu kulima.
Nazipenda tu sana hizo mboga za kienyeji. Hata mimi hufunza wamama wachanga kwamba hizi mkizitumia hata mkiwa wajawazito inawarahisishia, mnakuwa wepesi, sio kukula mboga moja kama sukuma.
Nimefurahi sana.
Yokangobe odwaen otachiel. Kaluongo kebi. Odwaen otachiel. Yokangobe odwaen otachiel. Jopurgi odwaen otachiel. Jopurgi odwaen otachiel. Jododo odwaen otachiel. Josuga odwaen otachiel. Jokadekgi odwaen otachiel. Jokangobe odwaen otachiel. Jopurgi odwaen otachiel. Jopurgi odwaen otachiel. Jododo odwaen otachiel. Josuga odwaen otachiel. Jokadekgi odwaen otachiel.